Hi, welcome to Rarely Said, the podcast where we talk about what everyone feels but not everyone says. I'm your host, Harper, and I'm so excited you're here. Let's get into it. This episode was requested by an Instagram follower, and it's your best friend betrays you for a guy, and I've experienced this before, so I thought it was a good one to talk about. I'm going to just give my little story time about kind of how I was involved in this, in a situation similar to this. And what I did and what I didn't do and what you shouldn't do or could do or noticing patterns and stuff like that. So one of my very close friends, I love her to death, she started talking to this guy that I was talking to, and he was older, so I didn't really I just wasn't really thinking about it that much, and I didn't think that she would. I knew she knew him because I talked about him, but I didn't know she knew him. And I realized that we kind of drifted, me and the guy, and I wasn't really affected by it, it was whatever. But I was scrolling TikTok one day, and I saw that he had a TikTok account, which he always told me he didn't have TikTok. So I clicked on it, and he followed her 3 accounts on TikTok, just her. So he had 3 followers and was following 3 people. So obviously, I screenshotted it and sent it to her, and I was like, okay, what the hell? And then she was like, okay, I have something to tell you, and told me that they had been talking and stuff. And obviously, I was hurt because I wish that she would have just been honest and told me and asked if it was okay, I guess. But then, obviously, she started apologizing and was like, is this okay? Whatever. And I told her exactly how I felt about it, and I said, this is how I feel about it. I'm not gonna say don't talk to him, but you know how I feel, so you can do what you want with that information. And I tried to just not be super upset about it because I didn't want to obviously ruin our friendship over a guy. So I told her how I felt. She decided to stay with him, and it was fine. I got over it, obviously, but I noticed that I definitely felt betrayed, and I was questioning, I was a little sad. I wasn't even sad about the guy too. I was really sad that she was keeping it from me because I thought we were close enough for her to tell me. I guess just tell me and ask me if it was okay and stuff, so that I felt like my friend cared, because it kind of made me feel like she didn't care about me, and it made me feel like we had some sort of competition. And I kind of wondered, well, there's so many other guys, and then for you to just kind of take the guy I was not hanging out with. I never hung out with him, but I was texting him a lot, and I really enjoyed talking to him, and she knew that because I would tell her. And it was funny to me because me and the guy were talking about hanging out, and then right before that, I just kind of got ghosted, and I was like, damn, that sucks. But then to realize that my best friend was the reason why definitely hurt me. So I just kind of wondered why, she would do that to me, and if there was some sort of competition going on between us, which I obviously never thought there was, but I guess if it made me think that, when you're kind of going after my guys, because I would have never done that to her. And so it just kind of hurt me. And I know it's different for everyone, but I hate when people will do stuff to me that I know I would never do that to them, and I had never done that to her. So it just made me kind of question it. But what I did was I had the hard conversation with her, and I obviously told her how I felt, and I kind of just laid it out for her. I was like, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is how I feel about it, and you could do whatever you want in this situation. I'm not going to not be your friend because of it, because I think that that's immature to just end a friendship over that. But, I told her, she did the thing I didn't want her to do, and she stayed with the guy. But I think in the end, I think there was a little bit of karma, because he did end up getting with someone, I think, during prom, when me and her were actually on a trip together. But, I think that kind of shows, if you're going to sort of betray your friend, there might be something that comes and stabs you in the back. But I think the other things I could have done, which would have been immature, were end the friendship, get really mad, or try and specifically hurt her back or do something that I know would hurt her, or I know a guy specifically that I could have, I guess, got with that would have like really hurt her feelings. Those are things I didn't do and that I don't recommend doing. But those are things that definitely were in the back of my head as this situation was going on. And I think that if you're noticing a pattern in your friends or in a specific friend that you think does this to you, that's really immature and really mean. And I would definitely recommend not being their friend because that's just really mean. But when to end a friendship, definitely if you're noticing patterns in their behaviors and if they're doing that kind of stuff to you and kind of hurting you constantly, making you feel like you're less than you are, and doing things behind your back without telling you the honest truth, I think that's not good. And I do notice in her, we're still really good friends. We've been good friends like almost our whole lives. So I wasn't just gonna like end a friendship with her over that. I love her so much. And I think that she, in that situation, I understand where she was coming from because I know that that's a hard conversation to have. And in the moment probably didn't want to have that hard conversation and kind of ask the question if I was okay with it. And I totally understand where she was coming from with that. But again, obviously it could hurt feelings, but I do notice where she was coming from. And I think in the end of it, we both handled it very well. And of course, knowing that we're really good friends, like that stuff is kind of just going to happen. It's going to come and go. But if there's patterns of it happening multiple times, of specific things happening, then I think that's when it really gets out of hand, and that's just being a mean person. But obviously we can control ourselves and how we react to certain things. So, I mean, I think I controlled myself very well, took a few deep breaths when I saw the TikTok thing. But obviously just having good communication with your friends shows a lot and shows that you care. And so if you're the friend in her situation, I think you should have a hard conversation and kind of tell them how you feel and ask the question to make sure they're comfortable with it. And if you're the friend in my situation, I think it's best to not explode on your friend and to talk it out with them, especially if they're a good friend of yours. You don't want to end a friendship because of a guy. I stand by that. I don't think you should end friendships because of guys, but if it starts to be a pattern, then I think there's a boundary and you could definitely end a friendship over that. But how you react is definitely going to make or break the situation you're in. So that's my take on what to do if that happens to you. So if you're listening and you already feel seen, then this podcast is doing its job, and you don't need to have your life figured out to be here. Sometimes just noticing what you're feeling is enough. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.